And just like that, the Orlando Magic's 19-point lead was gone, and they found themselves in a battle with Kevin Durant. And that's a battle you're always going to lose. Today on Locked On Magic.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is February 27th, 2026. My name is Philip Rossman-Reich. I'm the senior writer over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com, credentialed member of the Orlando Magic media since the 2012 season, coming to you today from the Kia Center. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, the Orlando Magic once again look like they're about to turn that corner, score a humongous win, and then all of a sudden they didn't. They didn't turn that corner. They didn't get that big win. Well, it's not yet time to panic, but why the Magic can't keep beating themselves. Plus, Jalen Suggs is back? Question mark. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. First, we want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. No matter when you listen to us, whether it's first in the morning, whether it's right when we upload, we truly appreciate you making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. We truly appreciate you being one of our Orlando Magic dailies, our everydayers who listen 5 days a week, who listen on the weekends when we do our weekend episodes, who make us part of your daily podcast rotation, to make us your first listen of the day. We want to thank you for helping make Locked On Magic such a great and growing community. And we want to thank you for making Locked On Podcast Network the number one sports podcast network. It's your team every day. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Have your cake and drink it too. Birthday cake flavor is back. No fork needed. Vanilla-y cakey flavor, caffeinated cake, and no sugar. It is party time. Order now at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. The Orlando Magic, for 2.5 quarters, really 2, maybe 3/4 of quarters, the Magic looked like they were the team we all thought they were going to be. What has been most frustrating about this season in general has been not the losses, but the times when this team looks like the team we imagine it could be. Paolo Banchero couldn't make a shot tonight, but that didn't matter. He was still impacting the game positively. He was still getting players open. He was still finding guys, and Desmond Bane was on a heater. Javon Carter was on a heater. Guys were moving the ball and attacking the basket and leaving a good Houston Rockets team with their heads spinning. On top of that, their defense was excellent. The strategy, of course, was to not let the Rockets get second chance points, to get offensive rebounds. They gave up 0 second chance points and just 4 offensive rebounds in the first half. They were doing everything by the book, exactly how you want to as the Orlando Magic. And if you could just bottle those first 2.5 quarters, and really even good chunks of the fourth, you've got a team that can make noise in the playoffs. You got a team that's going to be a tough out in the first round, if not a first-round winner. This season has been about a team that is so close to being what they need to be, and yet unable to go out and grab it, unable to go out and take it, unable to sustain that level of play long enough. And that's why their record is what it is. You are what your record says you are. And this is a good team. This is an above 500 team. This is a team that's going to be in the playoffs. It's a team that's going to win some big games and have some good moments, but a team that is still so wildly inconsistent. Getting more consistent, but still inconsistent enough that games like tonight just escape them. Orlando led by 19 points late in the third quarter. It felt like they were on their way to a romp on national TV against the number 3 team in the Western Conference. Going into a timeout in the third quarter, Kevin Durant and Alperen Sengun were I don't want to say arguing, but they were talking animatedly to each other. They were trying to figure this team out. That is, I don't want to say championship level team, but that is the kind of team the Magic are supposed to be. And that it fell apart so quickly. Over the course of about 3.5, 4 minutes, the Rockets went on a 20-0 run, erased a 19-point deficit. And while this game was tied with 3 minutes to go, so I don't want to say this loss is entirely on that stretch. That stretch defined the game. That stretch gave life to a Rockets team that was dead. And at the end of the day, this is the issue. This is the central problem with the Orlando Magic is they are not good enough to go for the kill. They are not good enough offensively. They're not good enough and consistent enough to put teams away of really any quality. It's why they played the third or fourth most clutch games in the league. And they've had success in them. So you're going to drop some close games. Like, frankly, we'll talk about the end of the game. We'll talk about the fourth quarter probably in our last segment when we talk about Paolo, and I'll lay some criticisms on Paolo and what needed to happen there. At the end of the day, like, you're not winning a scoring battle with Kevin Durant. You're just not. And this is why, like, this is the exact game why I say good teams don't win close games, they avoid them. Because sometimes a lot of times, Kevin Durant's shots are going to go in. And, Paolo sometimes does really well in the clutch. He's had some clutch moments in his career. Maybe not this year, but in his career. Sometimes those shots go in, sometimes they don't. And close games are coin flips. Who knows? So what the Magic can't have happen is they cannot lose 19-point leads at home when everything is working. They can't let a bad 3 minutes become a disastrous 3 minutes. They can't come out of a timeout with a technical foul from Jalen Suggs heading into the timeout, number one. We'll talk about him in a minute. They can't come out of a timeout and turn the ball over. And that leads directly into a three that makes a 7-point lead, a 4-point lead, but become a 3-point lead. They can't make these mistakes that compound and lead to frankly, the fragility of this roster. That if Paolo doesn't have it going, if Bane doesn't have it going, if AB doesn't have it going, offense is going to be a problem. They just don't have enough scoring. They don't have enough attackers. And that's an issue for the offseason. You're not going to solve that in March, in April. Your roster's locked. It's set. But the Magic beat themselves. And that has felt like it's been the case in a lot of losses this season. Look, give Houston credit. They were 1 for 11 from three at halftime. Reed Shepherd hit 3 threes in the third quarter. That sparked them. They were making threes the rest of the game. They ended 11 for 29 from three. Magic did okay defensively from the, again, part of the strategy for the Magic is don't give up a lot of threes. They didn't give up threes in this game. The Magic did their job defensively. You hold this Rockets team to 113 points, and I know they scored 70 in the second half. You hold this Rockets team to 113 points, you're going to have a chance to win. And the Magic had a chance to win. Again, I'm not going to take anything away from the defense. But when you ask these players what went wrong in that third quarter, Javon Carter said, and he's new to this team, Javon Carter said, when we got that, when that run started, we got selfish. Things got stagnant. We asked Paolo in the locker room what happened. And Paolo wasn't in during the 20-0 run, unless you want to blame him. Magic had a -7 with him on the floor, which is kind of shocking. I thought they were a lot better with him on the floor. A lot of that probably coming at the end of the game. When the Magic made that run, Paolo said, like, look, when we're up, when we're playing well, we got to do what got us there. We got to simplify things even more and do what got us there. It can't be doing these complex things. You're playing in crowds. You're forcing things. You're trying too hard to get out instead of just saying, hey, play your game. The Magic are playing better. And this loss shouldn't be some referendum of something new. Like, this isn't a disaster. I mean, it's a bad loss. It's, again, Philadelphia won tonight. Now you're a game and a half back at Philadelphia. Miami lost. They played each other. You're still a game up on Miami. So got the games in hand. One of those games in hand is Sunday against Detroit. It's not the end of the world here. It's a bad loss. It's a loss you shouldn't have dropped. It's one you absolutely need in a playoff chase. You need to get something. You need to steal some games against better teams. At the end of the day, you weren't expected to win this game anyway. You stole a game from the Lakers already. These are games that you can't get back, and they're ones that you should feel confident that you can win when you play the way that you did for 2 3/4 of this game. But it's never about the other team. Like, a lot of these losses, I know I've said this a million times this year, It's not about what Houston did. And look, Durant's Durant. Reed Shepherd hit some big shots. Clint Capella had a huge block. Şengün made some tough shots. It's not about the Rockets. Listen to Locked On Rockets for their perspective on things. I'm sure Jackson's celebrating. This game is not about Houston. It's about Orlando. It's always been about Orlando. It's always been about the Magic executing and doing what they know they need to do to win. And the fact of the matter is, well, this team is better at it. I don't want to knock the progress they've made, but it's still this bad habit. When things go bad, they go really bad. And while this team is talented and good enough to respond, still give themselves a chance to win, at the end of the day, you can't beat yourself. 4 turnovers in that third quarter. They all came during that 20-0 run. Magic finished with 12 turnovers in the game that lead to 20 Houston points. Orlando got 20 points off Houston's 13 turnovers. If I'm not mistaken, 10 of those turnovers came in the first half. You got to do what got you there. You got to do what you know is successful for this team. I feel like one of the things Jamal Mosley did really well coming out of the break is he simplified a lot of things. And the Magic really started just focusing on this is the thing that we need to do well, and we're going to do it well. And for the most part, over these 5 games now since the break, which Magic are 3-2, over these 5 games, they've done those things well. They've put themselves in position to win every game that they played, and I expect them to do the same Sunday against Detroit. But that also means you can't be the one, you can't be the reason you lose games. The other team has to beat you. And whether it was giving up all the offensive rebounds against Phoenix, whether it was the turnovers and just losing composure in the third quarter tonight, the Magic are beating themselves. And the good news is that is entirely correctable. That is entirely fixable. The bad news is it's been almost 60 games, and that is still the issue. The Orlando Magic got Jalen Suggs back for this game, but oh boy, was Jalen Suggs rough. The line that Jalen Suggs is still struggling to find, we'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by our friends over at DoorDash. The season is heating up, and DoorDash has a way to keep fans in their bag the whole way through. Whether you're watching the highlights, the tunnel fits, or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes the entire season more fun. Because every player has their bag. With DoorDash, fans have one too. DoorDash keeps your snacks stocked, your gear fresh, and your watch party vibes absolutely on point. Look, there are nights when your team stresses you out. Like tonight was probably one of those nights. Let DoorDash become your post-game therapy, because sometimes you need to eat your feelings. I won't blame you if you have that ice cream right now and go on DoorDash and get some Jeremiah's or something. It's okay. From tip-off to overtime, stay in your bag and order on DoorDash. Get snacks, drinks, gear, whatever gets you through the season, deliver right to your door. DoorDash in your bag all season long. We want to thank you for making the Locked On Magic your number one listen of the day. And we want to thank you for making Locked On Podcast Network the number one sports podcast network. If you haven't done so already, take your Locked On fandom to the next level and check out our Everydayer Club. Get Locked On Magic ad-free with an ad-free audio feed. Plus, members-only Discord access to talk to other Magic fans as well as other NBA fans. Join at lockedonmagic.supercast.com. That's lockedonmagic.supercast.com. I don't think this is a game to make some wide sweeping statement about Jalen Suggs. Let me make that really, really clear. This was not a good Jalen Suggs game. Jalen Suggs was on the floor for the entirety of that 20-0 run. He finished with just 3 points, 1 for 6 shooting, 0 for 1 from 3, had 4 turnovers. 3 of them were during the 20-0 run. He had a technical foul during that 20-0 run going into a timeout. He came into the game in the first quarter and immediately picked up 2 fouls, just trying to be a little over-eager and over-aggressive. Is his first game back after missing a week with the back strain. I am very hesitant for a guy that's just coming back from an injury to draw sweeping conclusions. Guys are bad when they come back from injury. They're rusty. They're not in great, they're working their way back into shape and back into playing shape and back into game rhythm. It's okay to not be good. Now, should you be actively bad? Should you be, like so detracting that it's a problem? That was part of the issue. Like, no doubt about it. Jalen Suggs was not good tonight, and the Magic rightfully did not start him, number one. Number two, they did not play him down the stretch. They turned to Javon Carter. They turned to Anthony Black. They turned to Jonathan Isaac for stretches. Jalen Suggs just wasn't completely back tonight. And look, like, again, there were a number of reasons for that 20-0 run. Houston got hot. They made some shots. Orlando made a lot of mistakes. They let mistakes compound, and Suggs was a big part of that. It's not just one thing. It's not just one player. But certainly that had a lot to do with it. Certainly that was part of the equation and part of what happened in this game. The real question, though, is now that Jalen Suggs is back, we know how vital he can be. He made some great defensive plays in this game. Like, there were some classic Jalen Suggs moments in this game. The question is, how quickly can he kind of get back up to speed? Because whether you want to hear this or not, it has been a bit of a struggle for Jalen Suggs this year. And look, some of it is certainly the injuries. Some of it is certainly that he has not been able to like be on the floor consistently. And so his rhythm is just completely off. He just hasn't kind of found the rhythm that he needs. Over the season, he's averaging 13.9 points per game, which is, again, the second most in his career. It's not like he's been terrible, but he's shooting only 44.2% from floor, 32.8% from three on 6 attempts per game. And while I think he's still a great catch and shoot three-point shooter, especially playing off of Paolo, he tends to favor that three-point shot. Give him the credit. He's averaging a career-high 5.4 assists per game. Heading into this game, he had games of 10, 10, 6, and 11. 10 assists against the Milwaukee Bucks in the 2 games, 6 assists against the Jazz, 11 assists in a triple-double game against the Brooklyn Nets. That wasn't so long ago. It was February 5th. But it has been a wildly up-and-down season for Jalen Suggs offensively. And, look, Anthony Black's passed him on the scoring chart. But the question is, how can the Magic get the most out of Jalen Suggs? How can the Magic get enough from him to be the player they need him to be? And like so many other things with this team, it's not about stats. Like, generally, I like the shots Jalen Suggs takes. I don't think he forces a lot of things. I don't think he is out there jacking him shots. Like, yeah, he takes a few bad threes here and there. Defensively, like, he is what he is. Like, he's still a really impactful defender, but it's about these intangible things. It's, Desmond Bane's talked about this a little bit. For this group, it's about maturing. And I think the issue with Jalen Suggs, and I think the problem that Jalen Suggs has run into, is he's just so excited to play and so eager to play and so eager to make an impact that he tends to do too much. Like, honestly, the tone was set when he committed those 2 fouls early in. Like, he usually picks up a foul early just to figure out where the line is and what he can get away with. His second foul was completely unnecessary and was in the bonus, giving 2 free throws, 2 points to the Rockets in a game that at that time didn't feel like you could give away points. This, to me, is the sort of essence of the Jalen Suggs question. It's the same question that I kind of have with Paolo, and the same question I have with a lot of players is, do you understand what the game calls for? Do you understand how to kind of pace yourself through a game and give what the game needs? Because sometimes you can be too excited and too overeager and too hyped up. And often that's what it kind of feels like with Jalen Suggs. If you've listened to the show for years, I've described a lot of Jalen Suggs' offense, especially during his first couple of seasons, as looking like a guy who's just in over his skis. If you've been gone skiing, skiing is all about balance. You kind of, you lean into the turns, you crouch into turns, you kind of bob and weave a little bit. But if you're too far over your skis, you're going to fall and face plant. You can't be too far back because then you'll fall on your back. You got to be kind of in the level. And tonight, just especially first game back, and it's been usually this way in Jalen's first game back, tonight, it just felt like Jalen was a little too far over his skis. And when Jalen is off balance like that, that's when all of his worst habits come to play. That's when he's throwing the ball around, turning over. That's when he's too physical and committing fouls when he doesn't need to make fouls. That's when he gets too emotional. And look, you can't bottle up Jalen Suggs. Like, whatever element of chaos that he presents and brings to a game, that's why you have him out there. That's why he's playing. That's why you want him out there. And, I told, a lot of people have been questioning decisions Jamal Mosley made. Jamal Mosley called a timeout when the Magic were up by 7. Got 19-point lead down to 7. They hit a 3, calls timeout. That's what you're supposed to do. Could that have been a moment to take Jalen Suggs out after the technical foul? In hindsight, that sure feels like the moment that you should have. And said, like, hey, Jalen, sit on the bench, calm down. We'll come back to you later. But I would also say that the way this team is constructed, they need Jalen Suggs. The way this team is built, who this team is, their identity, they need Jalen Suggs. And the moment this team stops trusting Jalen Suggs and with this roster construction, that's a problem. And for a first game back, again, if this were his like 5th game back, if this were, he's been, been in rhythm and he has a stinker like this, like, okay. First game back, you got to let him play through some mistakes. And look, did that cost the Magic game? Not entirely. That was part of it, for sure. Like, this is not a game that the Magic needed first game back Jalen Suggs. And look, Jamal Mosley is managing both short-term, trying to win this game today, and also long-term, trying to get Jalen Suggs and his team in the best position for the end of the season. And sometimes that means like, yeah, I'm going to ride with a guy who's struggling because I know I need him in rhythm, and this is his first game back from an injury. Again, I say this all the time. I very rarely question coaching decisions and management decisions as long as I can see the logic. And I see the logic. I do. It probably cost them tonight's game. Like it did. Suggs was really bad. Suggs was not anywhere near the level offensively and even, especially in the third quarter, the level defensively. But Orlando is ultimately better when Jalen Suggs is healthy and when Jalen Suggs is playing well. And look, it feels unavoidable right now, and I don't want to talk offseason stuff too much because we still got 20 some odd games left. There's still a lot to play for. The Magic are still in a really good spot to catch Philadelphia for 6 and avoid the play-in. I think they'll ward off Miami, but they got to play. They got to play well, and obviously they got a big game on Sunday now. That's one of the games at hand they have on Miami. But we're going to have the conversation in the offseason. It's unavoidable at this point because of Suggs' availability and frankly, because Suggs, because of all the injuries, hasn't taken the step the Magic need. I think they'll ultimately conclude that they need to keep him, but we'll have that conversation. And again, it's on Suggs for the rest of the season, and hopefully he gets in rhythm. Hopefully he plays better on Sunday. If he plays better on Sunday, the Magic, I don't want to say have a good chance to win because Detroit's really good. But the Magic can win Sunday. Absolutely, they can win. The way they're playing right now, they can win on Sunday. But they're going to need good Jalen Suggs to do it. And tonight, he just wasn't good enough. Let's talk about the rest of the roster. Another heater from Desmond Bane. Another sort of mixed bag performance from Paolo Banchero. Let's talk about the end of the game and more coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of, that was a good nice echo. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by our friends over at 5 Hour Energy. Welcome to the 5 Hour Energy flavor draft with 18 different flavors to choose from, including new options like Confetti Craze, Fruity Rainbow, or Cotton Candy. There's something for everyone. Certainly not a pick you want to trade unless Desmond Bane is coming back, in which case it's probably worth 4 or 5 picks. The board is set. All the flavors are ready. And I've got my number 1 pick for the 5 Hour Energy flavor draft. I'm usually a fan when I'm drinking these energy drinks. I want something sweet. And that's why I go with Cotton Candy, or that's today's pick at least, is Cotton Candy, a delicious swirl of sugary clouds, fruity twist, and a hint of vanilla. It's the sweet side of tasty caffeine. A throwback flavor with a boost with light, airy candy profile, nostalgic carnival-style taste, and pure sweetness from start to finish. I've got a sweet tooth, And this one comes without any sugar guilt. 5-hour energy shots give you the boost with zero sugar. That's the best part. Find your new favorite flavor of 5-hour energy shots available online at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. Again, find it today online at 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by friends over at Game Time. Look, there's nothing like being in an NBA arena like I am in right now. It's quiet now. Like you can hear the great arena staff here at the Kia Center working to get this building ready for tomorrow's G League makeup game between the Osceola Magic and the Canton Charge. But when it's full, there's no place like the Kia Center. Getting tickets, though, that part, not always so simple, especially when a team is as good as it is, like the Magic tend to be. You can pull up the Game Time app and pick an upcoming NBA game and have your tickets locked in within minutes. You get the all-in price up front. You get a view from the seat, a digital view from the seat, so you know exactly what the court's going to look like before you sit down. And they have zone deals, which allow you to choose a section, and Game Time will pick the seat for you, and you save. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. That's code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today, and remember, it's gametime.co, not .com. As we do after every game, let's run through the final box score as the Orlando Magic fall to the Houston Rockets 113-108. Orlando ends up giving up a 125.6 offensive rating, so 125.6 points per 100 possessions. They score 118.7, which should normally be good enough for the Magic to win. Just after a really fantastic first half. The first half, they give up an offensive rating of 93.5, so their defense in that first half was incredible. Just really, they gave up a 20-0 run. I'm not going to pull up the numbers heading into the 20-0 run, but Orlando was playing some of the best defense they played all year, and all of a sudden they let Houston get hot. They let Houston get some rhythm, see some shots go down. They compounded those mistakes with turnovers, and that allowed Houston to get going. The Rockets end up shooting 52.4% from the floor, 11 for 29 from three, 16 for 20 from the foul line. Kevin Durant has 40 points. Reed Shepherd comes off the bench for 20, including 5 3-pointers. Alperen Sengun just 16 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 turnovers. So a lot of things Orlando did really, really well in this game. There's a lot to be proud of with the way the Magic played through, again, 2.5, 2 3/4 of the game. But then they just, once it was bad, it was really bad. And again, I want to give the Magic some credit. They showed resilience. They gave up that 20-0 run. You know, they've given up big runs and kind of slept walk through the rest of the game and lost it. Orlando was in the fight. And so I think that part is important. Again, not the main thing. You got to get the win. I was ready to write that, the Magic showed their resiliency. They found a way to win this big game. And obviously that didn't happen. But this game was tied with 3 minutes to go. It was a tight game to the end. And again, Durant got all the shots, made all the plays down the stretch, and Paolo Banchero didn't. Quite simply, this game came down to the Rockets had a Kevin Durant, and the Magic didn't have a Kevin Durant. Paolo Banchero had a weird game. Finished with 19 points, 6 for 16 shooting, was 0 for 2 from 3. Didn't like his last 3, which came on a pull-up 3 when it's just clear he didn't have it. He was 7 for 10 from the line. Orlando 13 for 21 from the foul line. Lose by 5, tie game with 3 minutes to go, and you miss 8 free throws. Again, can't beat yourself. It's these things that beat you. Houston ended up with 10 offensive rebounds for 7 second chance points. Again, Orlando did a good job on that. They had 30 second chance points on 15 offensive rebounds, which is really good for them. Paolo finished with 19 points, like I said, 8 rebounds, 9 assists. Paolo really struggled to try and get to the foul line and try and score and score around the basket. Let me pull up the shot chart if it's up. Just looking at the shot zone, Paolo was, where is he? Where's he at here? Paolo was 6 for 9 in the restricted area. So that's not terrible. That's not great. That is league average. He got where he needed to go to score baskets. And he did a really good job, I thought, throughout the course of the game, leveraging his gravity and leveraging himself to get guys open. Like, you don't get 9 assists by accident. Like, and he's been consistently flirting with triple doubles. And frankly, like, Paolo needs to transform himself this season into a triple double machine. And if that's what we get out of this season, and he figures out his jumper and his scoring in the offseason, then that'll be worth it, because I think Paolo Banchero can be a triple double machine. Like, if Alperen Sengun can be a triple double machine, why can't Paolo? He is. I do give him a lot of credit. He has done a much better job this season taking what the game is giving him. What frustrated me about Paolo's game today is that in the final moments of the game, he stopped taking what the game gave him. He passed up shots. He passed up maybe not great shots, but the kind of shots that you expect your star to take. And I felt like his passes out of the paint were late, were passes that teammates didn't expect. And that led to passing up another good shot, passing up another opportunity, and getting into this hot potato where the Magic ended up shooting a lot of late shot clock shots down the stretch. Again, so much of this season, for better or for worse, is about Paolo continuing to learn how to be the star and learning when he needs to impose himself on games and when he needs to be a facilitator. And because he doesn't have the scoring that he normally has, and if he can recover that this summer, then the Magic are going to be in good shape. But because he hasn't been able to take over games like he did in the third quarter against the Lakers on Tuesday, he's just not as effective. And look, he's got a really poor clutch record this year. I know he hit the shot against Brooklyn, but his field goal percentage in clutch situations is really, really bad. Again, maybe the Magic should have been running things through Desmond Bane. I don't think they should have been forcing things to Paolo, but as long as they were forcing things to Paolo, I liked the spots Paolo was getting on the floor, and I wanted to see him take the shots. Like, I will say this a million times. If that's the play you're going to run, I would rather lose the game on Paolo missing a shot than on Paolo being passive. And I felt like he was passive. I felt like he didn't want to take those shots, and was just trying too hard to get others involved when this was his moment and the ball was in his hands. Again, right or wrong, we could criticize Jamal Mosey maybe for that decision. Right or wrong, the ball was in his hands to make these decisions. And, he missed some shots, like, no doubt about it, but he would get in the paint and I think get stuck, panic a little bit, and try and kick it out when the opportunity was there for him to score. And again, Paolo's been playing better. He's I think throughout the season, he has always been trying to do the right thing. And that's going to serve him really well as he moves forward in his career, and as hopefully as he recovers the scoring net that he's lost this year. So it's just a weird game. Like, just Paolo, whatever Paolo had in Los Angeles, he didn't have tonight. He was still a positive impactor in this game. I still really liked a lot of the things that he did in this game. Even just looking at, I really liked a lot of things. The Magic had a 119-2 defensive rating. It was the best on the team, surprisingly. Oh, Anthony Black was better. I really liked a lot of things Paolo did, but again, I feel like either because the coach called the wrong plays, which perfectly possible, and if that's the case, then that was a mistake. But the team was looking for Paolo to carry them to the finish line. And whether that was the right call or not, again, we can debate that. I don't think Paolo stepped up to the plate of carrying that team over the finish line. I really liked what he did throughout the course of the game, though. I liked most of his decision making. I liked most of his shots. I do think Paolo's in a good spot. Again, just got to make shots around the rim, but I think Paolo's in a good spot and playing much better. So just be a little patient with it. Desmond Bane, just absolute another heater for him. He continues to just be so good. He finished with 30 points, 12 for 19 shooting, 6 for 10 from three. I think he made his first 5 threes. Didn't get to the line, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, only 1 turnover. Just a absolute heater from him. Like, every time he shoots it, you expect it to go in. Made a couple threes, made 3 threes at the end of the first quarter that gave the Magic some breathing room, gave them a 7-point lead at the end of the first quarter. Just always reliable to hit a 3, was able to get to the basket, get himself downhill. Just, we expect 30-point games from Desmond Bane now. Again, like, he's kind of stepped in and done that. I think he certainly needs like some energy and some wind behind his sails to get downhill. And so when the Magic are turning the ball over, he is just this crazy good weapon. Orlando's done a lot better job getting him shots in the half court too. But again, it's just they don't have enough guys that can attack off the dribble, and that continues to just be the issue for this team. I really think that is the biggest issue for this team. Wendell Carter had another really nice game, 16 points, 6 for 8 shooting, 3 for 6 from line is really the only complaint. Had 6 rebounds. He did a really good job, I thought, defending Alperen Şengün when he was on him. Şengün was 8 for 15. I thought he did a good job contesting and challenging Kevin Durant. They switched a lot onto him. Carter, I thought, had a really nice game. Again, you might say the rebounds are kind of low, but Orlando had 15 offensive rebounds. Carter had 3 of them. Again, so much of what Carter does is just boxing guys out and keeping guys off the glass so guards can swoop in and get rebounds. Orlando did such a great job on the glass. It's frustrating to lose a game against Houston when you limit their offensive rebounding. That's a game you're supposed to win. And Orlando did so many of the right things in this game. They played harder. They were more physical through the first 2.5 quarters and really even into the fourth. And they just let the door open. And again, just that's what's frustrating. It was just a 3-minute lapse that cost them this game, and Houston made them pay and was ruthless about making them pay for that. Javon Carter came off the bench at 14 points, 5 for 10 shooting, 4 for 9 from 3. I do like that Javon Carter is aggressive. He is not afraid to shoot. He's getting a ton of shots up. I kind of don't like that he's taking so many threes. But those are the shots that he's getting, and he's confident enough to take them. His defense is pretty solid. I thought he had some defensive miscues in this one. Orlando is switching so much, and they put him in a lot of bad defensive positions. But Javon Carter continues to be a big boost for this team. He's been a really, really good addition to the team and continues to just add so much. Tristan Da Silva struggled again. He had 8 points, but 2 for 8 shooting, 2 for 5 from 3. Anthony Black continues to really struggle. He's been in a major rut for the last few weeks. 8 points, 3 for 12 shooting, 2 for 6 from 3. And again, it's just the margin for error for this team is really small, especially against quality teams like this. Black did some good things defensively. I don't want to take that completely away from him, but the Magic need all 3 of their guys to be playing well. And Paolo was okay. Again, near triple-double, set others up, got others going. Desmond was on a heater again. AB has really struggled to kind of carry his weight over the course of the last few games. Maybe it's just fatigue. He's never had to do this much. But the Magic need all 3 of these guys to beat these quality teams. And again, just the Magic needed something to just stop the bleeding, calm them down. And again, that's sort of what they're looking for right now, is that calming presence, that calming force. Again, you want it to be Paolo, you want it to be Dez, you want it to be Jalen Suggs. And, again, just things are just too uneven to get there. So a frustrating loss, no doubt, for the Magic. One that was entirely preventable, one that the Magic should have had. There's no shame in losing the Rockets. They're a really good team. They played really well in the second half. They kind of found their groove, and Orlando couldn't get them out of it. It's about Orlando learning to put these games away and learning to and being able to kind of go for the kill. There's no other way to say it. They let up. They got lax. They got too comfortable. Houston pounced on that, and Houston, and we're going to play a team like that on Sunday. Houston's the kind of team that's going to make you pay if you is going to make you pay if you let up. And Orlando let up just enough to let Houston by, and then Kevin Durant did Kevin Durant things and won them the game. The Orlando Magic fall to the Houston Rockets 113-108. They are back in action Sunday against Detroit Pistons. Like I mentioned, that is one of the games in hand that the Magic have on the Heat and one of the games in hand that the Magic have on the Sixers. So a critical game to make up the half game on the Sixers or whatever it's going to end up being. Magic have a lot riding on this game Sunday against the Pistons. Won't be easy. The Pistons are playing very, very well right now. Best team in the league. So it should be a fun night here at the Kia Center. Detroit does not like Orlando very much, and Orlando does not like Detroit very much. So stay tuned. But that's going to do it for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. Of course, find me on Twitter at @PhilipRR_OMD and on Blue Sky at PhilipRR. You can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Himalaya, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey, and all the Filmation Download podcasts to your podcast-enabled listening device. You can check us out on YouTube as well. Just search for Locked On Magic. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can find us on Twitter at OMagicDaily. And For even more Orlando Magic content, be sure to check out my Patreon page, your Orlando Magic Hub, at patreon.com/Orlando Magic Hub, or check out our Everydayer Club at lockedonmagic.supercast.com. With that, you get access to the ad-free audio feed of this podcast, as well as access to our Locked On Discord server to chat with other Magic and NBA fans. As always, thank you for your support. That's going to do it for me today, though. I want to thank you again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. We'll be back Sunday night, Monday morning to chat about the Magic's game against Detroit Pistons. But until then, for Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic, this has been Philip Rossman-Reich. We'll see you all again next time for another episode of Locked On Magic.